I'm Tara Lilly, fractional CMO, and this is What Am I Even Doing? With me today is Greg Brock, founder and CEO of Firefly Digital Agency in Southwest Virginia, with clients all over the U.S., from Virginia Tech to Sunbrella to Louisiana Lottery. And I'm so glad that you've joined me today, Greg, and I'm looking forward to our conversation.
Oh, it's good to be with you, Tara. Thanks for having me. I'm humbled to be here.
Yeah, and okay, so I mentioned you have some really big brands. You guys are a digital marketing agency. So you do everything from websites to content marketing, correct?
Yeah, I'd say really the big focus is digital products and the digital services. So think of it simplistically as we build the platforms, whether they're intranets or apps or websites
Okay.
or whatever, and then how do you drive traffic to them, from not necessarily traditional media, but everything from like SEO and SEM, even to the way that large language models kind of enter into the equation now, and so that's really our sweet spot, and we tend to kind of stay away from the traditional agency stuff.
Nice. So like what I call is maybe a digital storefront for most businesses. Maybe it's not necessarily e-commerce, but
hmm
owning those, helping companies even from strategy, right, to build, to design, to launching, and then driving traffic to them.
Yeah,
Nice.
it's a way to put it. And I want to say that like what's been really interesting, and we'll go down this path if you want to later, but um, we've gotten so into some of the technical integration stuff,
Mm.
or even like the Louisiana Lottery. I mean, they have technically an e-commerce platform, even though you don't recognize it that way when you're working with it. So it's just weird little stuff like that that we do.
And you guys are probably like, we love that. You're like, is it like
Yeah,
nerd?
it's like we're pretty nerdy.
I love that. But you guys didn't always start there, right? Like there was a Firefly that was a little baby infant that started in what, 10, 15 years ago?
Yeah, so it was in. I was working for CBS Television, the affiliate here, and I was kind of doing the digital stuff. And I was seeing the writing on the wall then, just because I was kind of in it, and I was always kind of the nerd there that would hang out like in the server room and stuff. And first iPhone, I was that dude, that kind of thing. And you just kind of saw where it was going, and so I started out in my basement. I won't put you through all that whole story, but and then 2 years after that, well, during that time, I got paired up with a guy named John Corthwaite. He was the webmaster at Carillion. So we got to kind of do some stuff together. It was more freelance stuff, but it was like, and then he introduced me to another fellow named Matt Sams, and so then the three of us got going, and we kind of broke ground down in the Grandin Village to what I guess became the collab, and that's really kind of the beginning of everything. But our entire focus was stupid. Like we really did not have a direction other than we were trying to escape corporate jobs. And
Really?
yeah,
Okay.
but we wanted to make websites, and that was kind of about it. And we
Okay.
didn't think much more past that. Um, and it wasn't until, a few years later, then Matt started bringing in the concept of content marketing before it was even a thing, to his credit. And then that kind of started us going down a whole interesting new path. And so, yeah, just over the years, it just kind of elevated and kind of grew.
Okay, so you guys started out like, all right, we want to escape corporate. We want to build
Mhm.
some websites. So you didn't start out with like, this is what we exactly want to do. This is what we're going to be. This is who we're going to go after. It was like, let's just get out of the corporate life.
No, I mean, we had a business plan, or I did, but it wasn't anything other than just like this will make money, and or this is your margin, and this is the looking at the landscape here at the time, there wasn't really a whole lot of agencies doing what we were doing.
Okay.
So that was kind of the vacuum we were wanting to fill quickly because we knew that the world was coming in behind us with some more digital stuff. So we were like, okay.
Mhm.
And it was kind of funny. We actually planted our flag. It was so cheesy looking back on it, but we said we're Roanoke's first digital agency, and it just caused. It was interesting. We literally, I'm not making this up. We got hate mail from some anonymous agencies. I'm not kidding you. And it's like, you are not the first digital agency. We were here doing this way before. And it was just, we loved it. We were like, oh, this is great. We're like disrupting things. So let's keep pouring gas on that.
I mean, that means you were definitely catching attention. That's for sure, which is part of just being new, right? Is trying
hmm
to catch attention.
hmm
So All right, so you all three escaped corporate. So how did you find your first clients then? If you said you were kind of unique in the Roanoke area doing what you were doing, right?
Yeah, and I really mean this. A lot of this is just luck and timing. So when we first kind of came out of the gate, you got to go back in time. The only people that were on Facebook were college students,
Okay.
right? Not a lot of businesses. Um, and on top of that, we kind of had this almost scrappy, almost arrogant, thumb your nose up at the way things were. Again, the world has changed now a lot, but you got to go back in time. Like I went from
Hmm.
only wearing a suit to work in the old days to now all of a sudden, if I want to come in shorts and have a beer at 3 o'clock and whatever, looking back on it, it's totally irresponsible. But like, we were just those dudes, and believe it or not, why I say we were lucky is we started getting media attention, and it was so silly because we were just three. At this point, we're like 3 to 5 people, and it wasn't that unique, but the culture was what was interesting because we were saying like again now we hear it all over the place, but we were like one of the very first places in the region to say unlimited vacation.
Wow. Okay.
Right. So, we had literally had stories done on us from like some of the news stations and like Virginia Business put an article out on us. Um, and then like social media was so new, you could put this stuff out there and Facebook wasn't throttling you back then because they wanted to spread their
Mm.
audience. So it was like just a license to print info. We just constantly like, oh, and it was silly because we would put the stupidest things on like Facebook, like everything from us like bowling water bottles over to at one point there was this one Photoshop thing of like an Imperial Walker coming down Grandin Avenue in a snowstorm, and no context to drive the business back to us. It was just we think this is funny here, Facebook. This is from Firefly, and that ironically in a back end way became our brand.
Oh my gosh.
It's
I
like
did not.
yeah, so like we weren't promoting what we do, we were just promoting who we were.
That's wild, Greg. Okay, so you guys are just like, hey, this is cool, this is funny, you're showing your personality, and you're like, and then we're gonna be bold and say we're the first digital agency in this area. And
Yeah.
and then like, but as a leader, were you, I mean, why did you decide to offer unlimited PTO? Was that something that you kind of always wanted? Like, or I guess how you made all these decisions, was it just like the three of you were like, I don't know, this feels right? Or was it you saying we just need to be bold and go out there?
A little bit of both. I think it was just sort of my mantra when I got started. So when I was again different world, I was if you remember kind of Wired magazine, I was a
Okay.
heavy consumer of a lot of content that was coming out of Silicon Valley and what
Okay.
they were doing, and I liked what I
Hmm.
saw. Again, this is when Google was coming up, and it was like sexy to be at Google, and Facebook wasn't Facebook evil, and all these kind of things were happening in the background, and I just wanted to be a part of it. And
Hmm.
the way I kind of let that manifest here locally was to imitate some of the policies that they were having.
Okay.
Um,
Hmm.
they were doing it to attract talent because the talent out there, the competition for talent was so fierce.
Yeah.
I mean, they were even doing things like napping pods in the office,
Yeah. Yeah.
ping pong. You remember the ping pong tables came out and all this stuff. And,
Yes.
all that stuff has evolved and it's kind of passe now because we've all
Right.
kind of woken up from it. But um,
Now you're having to compete against agencies that have been there for decades and who've been around, and all the brands around that area know them. And so you're like, all right, we want to do something different. So, um, when you guys started to get clients, that was from just kind of being inspired by what you see, like the Googles and the tech companies in California are doing. And this was around, was this early, before 2010, right? Kind of mid, early 2000.
2011, 12, right in that
Okay.
pocket, 2013
Okay.
maybe.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, kind of in that era.
And then you guys were just, so you were getting clients from like the word of mouth, the free media, that sort of thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, some of it, I think I had built a little bit of some contacts through my previous employer.
Okay.
Because being the digital part, my job was to kind of go out with salespeople, and I had accounts before that were my own. And so, like, one of our very first websites in the area was Grand Home Furnishings, you know.
Okay.
So you came out of the gate already with a little bit of a leg up, just from some
Hmm.
of the people you kind of knew and that trusted you,
Yeah.
and so and what you could do trying to be in sales mode is you could then say Grand Home Furnishings, and then you can say look what we did and try to get more business, and so we were pretty methodical about once like if we could get in front of you and talk about like who we were and what we did. I always felt like we had a really good sales message, and that seemed to kind of help grow it pretty quick too.
Okay. And as far as growing the team, that came like naturally when you guys brought on clients, or you were like, I brought team on, then I brought on the clients. Kind of how was your thought process there?
No, it was always the business first, and I think in the beginning of our period, I think it was very much like we'd all of a sudden would land. Like imagine like we would take say the Grand Home Furnishings example, and then all of a sudden we would go show it or be asked to like talk about like the work we do, and then next thing you know, that client, which we didn't anticipate, was enormous, and it was like oh. So now we got to go fill, and we would have this what we call hockey stick growth, where it's like you've gone from this, and now it's like this all of a sudden, and I can tell you, and the ones that have been through it would agree, startup culture sucks. I don't know why it's so glorified, and that kind of growth is awful. It hurts.
Mm.
It seems exciting, but it's not because it's just you blow up your processes, and you're having to move fast, and you got to service bigger things. And what was one of the biggest turning points for us was a company called Timken. They are a Fortune 500 company out of Ohio that came in as a referral, long story. And, you know, we had to get in gear quick for something like that. And it was just one of those moments. Like, I remember the team, we pulled all-nighters and to get it all done. And, but that kind of work would elevate you to the next level. And you just kind of kept stair stepping.
Yeah. So I think that's interesting is like when you said the startup culture, like everybody's like, oh yeah, I want to do stuff. Yeah. And at one point, like you were right, like back in the early to mid 2010s, like people were like, oh yeah, I want to do that. But it is high pressure, it's high stress. I can't even imagine for you trying to grow a business and then you're having to grow a team. But at the same time, you're trying to keep a culture, right? Like you have to, I know you mentioned the all-nighters, but there has to be a balance where ultimately your employees have work life, but they want to continue to show up for work. So how was there anything you initiated early in your business of like, besides the unlimited PTO to help balance and retain the talent?
That's a great question. I think what was interesting that I started to become aware of is that culture is not ping pong tables and napping pods and even unlimited vacation. It's not the things. It's the care that you put into the people and that they feel cared for and supported. And so we very much tried as much as possible, and we probably fumble this more than we care to, but we really do try to plant a flag and say we're people first. Like even over clients, it's like we are taking care of each other before we're going to take care of this client. And my dad was a business person in the area, and he used to laugh at me. And he's like, "That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard." And I said, "No, it really isn't." And I used to kind of say, it's like if you think about it, if and people have heard me say this before, but it's like if you have the right people, and they're really good people, and you take care of them, they're going to want to do really good work. They actually kind of rally behind the company because they like where they are because they're cared for. And so hopefully what happens is that you start getting cream of the crop talent. And you start to get, we really, when we would post openings, we would just get cream with resumes. And it gives you a chance to pick who you want because word's getting out, we're this kind of company. And then what would happen is when you get that kind of talent, they would, you know, they do amazing work, and then then the client is happy. So it's an end to the means, a means to the end. I always mess my things up, um, and so it's a cycle, and it repeats itself, and so they get bigger clients because of this, and word gets out that. And I'll tell you what I also have found is that clients typically want to find companies to work with that do have a good soul about them.
Mm,
Um,
yes.
so it has multiple touch points as to why this is important.
Yeah. When you said that, that reminded me of a conversation I had with the fractional HR leader, and she said like she mentioned like the soul of a company, like it's so important, and that's why HR is important to companies because you have to protect that soul. And there's a reason why you guys have you've won the top 20 in places to work in Virginia for many years. So you initiated that kind of protection of I'm going to care for my team, right? How are some things that you do that other leaders could implement in their businesses?
I think it has to come from the top. And again, I'm not perfect in this at all by any stretch. But like when we end up leaving a team meeting, for example, one of the things I always say is, take care of each other. And you have to say it out loud because I think what it does is it helps punctuate the fact that like, don't just think of us as just working bots that are out there, banging code out or, a brand piece or whatever. It's like, we're people and we are literally, my team makes fun of me because I use this metaphor too many times, but I really do kind of feel like you're kind of on a ship and go back in time to like the tall sailing ships of the 1700s, and not one person on that boat is more important than the other. And if one person doesn't do their job, literally you can die. And so it's the captain seeing where we need to go, but it's also the cook keeping everybody fed. It's the people up in the riggings that are making sure the sails are strong so they can move the thing forward. And it all has to work in concert together. And so by communicating the littlest of things that everybody here matters and that we all got to take care of each other, and then you have to kind of say those things over and over, like when you're in meetings. It's like we will say like, you've been working so hard. We will say this out loud. You've got to go take a day off. We're telling you, like, we want you to take a vacation day. And
Wow.
and at the end of the day, if you want the ultimate answer to your question, and I'm really big on this, is it boils down to having emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
You've got to be able to be in other people's shoes and be aware of it and what they need. And if you can figure that out, that's culture. That now you're taking care of each other based on where their pain points are, where they want to go. And again, not perfect at it at all. We've had our moments where we've failed horribly at this. But the goal is to try to do the best at it that you can.
Yeah, and emotional intelligence is huge. And I think one of those is like whenever you go into a room, a meeting, you're reading the room, right? You're seeing like, oh, that person seems a little off.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, so do you spend like, I guess, how do you know that person's off? Are you doing one-on-ones on a regular basis with your employees? Or you meet with your managers and they have their one-on-ones? Like how are you able to read the room with your team?
So if you lay the foundation out that this is sort of an expected behavior that you are to be plugged in, and it comes from me, then the leadership team, and so forth. What's really, really cool is like you get sort of a bubbling up effect, where, let's say, this happened just very recently. We had an employee that lost a family pet that was very dear to them, and immediately on Slack, to the employees, hey, so and so lost a pet, be aware of it. And then all of a sudden it immediately changes the way you deal with that person on a daily basis. Instead of just like, hey, you had this due today, where is it? Right? So, I mean, it's that empathic ability to be plugged into people, and you could spend literally an entire broadcast or conversation on this about how emotional intelligence works and how to plug into it. We've had some outside consultants come in and talk about it and do some training for us.
Okay.
I try to live it, knock on whatever, the best I can. And I've got teammates. I mean, we try to hire for it. Like, it's one of the interview question processes. We got some what they call EQ questions, to make sure that person coming in there is not just so self-centered and self-focused that they're going to be a bad.
Okay, the emotional intelligence piece, that's something that you practice, right? That's not one thing you're like, oh, we're going to do it. But I feel like that's a muscle you have to constantly work, right?
It's an awareness thing. Yeah, you just have to kind of be, hopefully, always kind of just hyper aware of what the others around you are going through. And it's as simple as sometimes it's just simply taking a moment and saying, I love to ask the question, how are you doing personally? Because that personally is the piece. It's like, if you don't put the personally on there, it's like you get the, well, I got a busy day and I got, this thing due. And it's like, that's not what I'm asking. I want to know how you're doing at your core.
Ooh, yeah.
And just asking the question immediately changes the environment of how you're going to interact with that person, because you may learn something that's not going well for them. And then once you know that, then at that point you can kind of do a jump off into other areas that they may need some support on, or
Yeah.
want to be left alone, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, that's important. I think just showing that you care, right? Just making sure you're showing up. And that's consistently, not just one time. So I want to get your thoughts on a situation where you have an employee who's going through just a tough season. They're like repeatedly not meeting
Yeah.
expectations. You know they have some rough things going on. How do you navigate that situation knowing there may be the comes to coming to Jesus moment where it's like either they have to get off the bus because now there's a whole lot of side effects coming along with them, or when do you say I can continue to coach them and we continue to work with them?
So it's a process. We kind of have an expression or a saying around that your peers promote you.
Mm.
Um, and the reverse can happen. Your peers can fire you. And
Okay.
so we're all so self-dependent on each other, and so committed to each other, that if you're not a good fit, and it doesn't mean that you're a bad person, it just means this may not be the gig for you.
Hmm.
And if you find yourself in that role, look, you're going to know pretty quickly because you're not hitting all on all cylinders. Case in point, and I'll kind of come full circle to your question. Um, I should never work at a CPA firm, an accountancy, right? And I could probably do the work, um, but it would not take long for somebody to be like, God, I don't know, Greg. He's not really getting it, like he's. And so, fast forward to somebody like at our company, and we all companies have these. We've had some moments where the person's not a good fit. If we know right away, we try to get them out pretty quick.
Yeah.
And we try to do it pretty nurturing if we can, pretty nurturingly. Is that a word? Um,
Yes.
okay, but in a situation where someone's been there a while, and let's say they're just burned out, because it's not for everybody.
Yeah.
Um, we do kind of go through the process of having the feedback sessions, and at times what I'll do too is I'll even have some outside people, like, is it me? Like, is something
Mm.
I'm doing wrong? Am I not giving the right feedback or whatever? We really do try to bang home to people, that, how would I say this? It's like metaphorically. Um, think of it like if you're getting ready to leave, if you're not happy anymore and you're not doing the right work, whatever, and it's time for you to go. I've always said this: please, please, please don't like come to me at the last second and be like, okay, I got to get out of here. Here's my 2 weeks notice, especially if you've been there for a while. And we try not to do this. We try to do the same thing to them, right? It's the catch-22. So you promote this thing, and it's like, if you can, even if it may be painful, give me like a month notice, for example. And what I'll do is I'll do everything I can to support you with my contacts and get you out there. And I've had some really good successful runs of people that are just ready to go, but they tell you early enough, so it's a very gradual thing. And but for the ones that it's like, to your point, like it's just not working, we have the pips and that whole thing, and those are always so painful.
Oh
Um,
gosh, they are
yeah,
for
and
everybody
like,
involved.
yeah, it is. And I had an old boss a long time ago. It's like, if you don't, literally he taught me how to fire someone. Like like a lioness. It's like, we're gonna bring this person in, and I'm gonna sit here, and you're gonna fire them, Greg. And I had to, like, that's how I learned it. And afterwards, he said something really profound to me. He was like, if because the person got walked to the door and all this stuff. And, and he said, if you do not feel absolutely sick in your stomach, there's something wrong with you.
Mm.
It's always stuck with me, and he's right. It sucks. I
Hmm.
absolutely hate it.
Yeah, it's awful. Even though you know it's the best for your business and for that person, and it's hard. And on the flip side of that, I wanted to get your perspective on if you've had situations and how you've dealt with them on the client side. Let's say you bring on a new project, a client, and maybe there's a couple red flags, or maybe not in the call. Probably by this point in time, I'm sure you can you can know the red flags. But let's just say maybe there was some, but not anything alarming. What do you do when you start working with them and you're like, oh hell, this is not it. This is not. Maybe they're giving your team a hard time, or they're asking for a lot over and beyond the scope of work. Like, at what point, and have you had to deal with this, where you've had a bad client, you have to choose like this is just not worth it.
So if you're team first, if you're employee first, keeping that North Star at the
Mhm.
conversation is the key. We've had, I want to say, three in our history. And one was really painful because they were spending a lot of money. They were spending
Mm,
a lot of money. And in essence, you try to improve it by improving processes, sitting down with them. One time I even went to a situation, actually, well, let me stay focused, I'm sorry.
no,
Um, because it's a fantastic story, but
oh, I want to hear it. Oh, you
no,
gotta say it now.
no, not here. It's too new, and people wouldn't know what it is.
Okay, okay, okay.
But but yeah, you get to a situation where you just have to simply say this is not a good fit,
Mhm.
and I call it bad money, and
Okay.
we just at that point, part company. And this is about 10 years ago. I remember taking a client, the point of contact. She was a senior team member at that company organization, and I literally took her to my mountain coffee and fired her, and she started crying. And she's like, I know we're horrible, and I was like, no, like I didn't. It felt like a breakup with a girlfriend. I was like, no, this is not what we're doing. It's
Oh
just not a good fit.
no.
But
Oh my gosh.
you have to get brave because your employees are miserable and they're going to start quitting.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, which one do you want?
So how do you balance that though? Like, I know you said bad money, but if you need the revenue, like at what point do you draw the line where you're like, if you're people first, but you're still a business, have you been in the situation where you're like, but we really need the revenue, or you're like, no, I just know the revenue will come. We still have to do people first.
It's that because and this is the hardest part about a business, especially if you're trying to scale. You've got to have hope. If you really are really true to your brand and what you do well, and people see that, and you get that kind of
Mhm.
feedback, like the pipeline is good and so forth. You have to take a leap of faith, I think, and cut that cord because, again, if you look at it analytically, if your people are leaving, because it's going to start happening, it's not if
Yeah.
but when. What's the cost of that?
Hmm.
And if you can reconcile those two tension points, it becomes a no-brainer, and then it sucks because either one's going to suck. It's like which one's going to suck more,
Yeah.
and usually firing the client is the better one to do,
Yeah. And I
and your
think,
team respects it.
oh yeah. I mean, the fractional HR person I mentioned before, her name's Trisha Palmer, and she said something similar of like, people are a line item, like they're an expense, but
Mm.
you need to look at it as an investment. Like that's part of the soul of your company. And if you are already putting in the money, investing to train them, to coach them, to give them the tools and everything they need, and then you bring on bad clients and they're just making their life miserable and they're out the door, then it's going to end up costing you even more because you have to keep replacing, and then you're going to get a bad reputation as an employer and as a brand too. So it's
Yeah.
like it is one of those things where it's like, yeah, you need the revenue, but what's at what cost?
And to your point, like let's say you decided not to fire the client, but the people maybe start quitting. Well, then you got to backfill the people, and those people may
Mhm.
not be as good
Oh
or up to
yeah.
speed. And now the client's even more upset because this person, Joni, who you just brought on, isn't really doing their job, and they're going to fire you anyway. So then you got two
Yeah.
problems, right? Now you got Joni on your, I don't know who Joni is, but like, you got Joni on your team and the client's left you, and now you've really made a bad
And then
decision.
you're like, oh God.
Yeah.
All right, I want to hop over just back to something that you said when we were talking about the Louisiana Lottery, and you said they have like an e-commerce platform on the back end. So you guys are building heavy tech too from the website and platform side. But I would love just to talk to you about how in the world is AI changing your agency and how you guys work with it, and then what clients are expecting for you to use or to use with it.
Yeah, it's a great question. We're leaning very hard into it, but that needs to be clarified. What is absolutely forbidden is any client work being put out there with AI in it.
Okay,
So, in
tell
other
me more
words,
about that.
Yeah, in other words, AI is not writing our clients'
Okay.
content. AI is not planning our strategic plans for our clients. What we use it for is a tool to guide us as a research mechanism, and
Okay.
that's like maybe the 10 to 15% of how we use it is over here. The majority of how we're using it is on the digital front as to helping the developers work smarter.
Mm.
So for example, something that may have taken us um, 2 months to work through a database with, like, we got, like I say, a client gives us a database that's going to go say into an e-commerce platform, and every little thing in that database, picture like, God, lots and lots of rows and lots of columns of all these little different nuances of data points. A shopping cart system, it may have 20 things that if this then that, and if the client's data is bad and they give it to us and they're like, we don't know where the mistake is, and now we got to go through it, and it's like, AI is like, found it, here it is, and so that's how we're using it. It's giving us a lot more of a leg up on build processes, and moving quicker through things that would have taken a lot longer. And I hate to say I'm a fan of it.
Mhm.
I'm scared of it at the same time, but I don't. I think also we're trying to figure out, like, how do you build things that are defensible against AI coming into the workplace, because I do feel like it's going to start to eat some of the creative agencies out there. It's going to eat their lunch. It just is. And that's one of the things that we're very aware of. It's like, we don't want to be in that camp when that happens.
Yeah, I agree with that. I do think the ones that are not adopting it and utilizing it are gonna they're not gonna be around much longer. And it's unfortunate because there are some where I'm like, oh, how are you guys using it? I mean, sometimes I will just write our social posts. I'm like, that's not really using it.
No. And I'm so proud of the team, because I remember a couple of years ago when all this stuff started to hit. Was it 24, like Christmas of 24, or maybe the fall of 23. But I remember we came out of Christmas break, and it was one of those, like, welcome back to the office kind of like all team kind of meeting, and I was like, this is hot stuff. This is changing the landscape. This is AI. This is when it was just still kind of wonky. And I was like, get on this now. And I remember I'd say maybe 10% of the team, 20% of the team back then were like trying it. And it was really impressive, because now you fast forward, 2, 3, 4 years, 3 years later. I mean, pretty much everybody in the team is using it the right way, and we're getting very good at it. Um, and it's very exciting to see what we could possibly do with it.
Yeah, it's it's come a long way, like just in a year, or even like the last, gosh, 6 months. Like the way that you can do, like I built a very simple tool, a lead gen tool for my business with AI, but I was connecting like email to be able to send the email of the results and back end, administrator back end. But I'll tell you, and this helped make it easier, but I'll tell you, Brock, and I've read this, is like, I don't know security, right? I don't know. I'm not a financial institution, so it's like SOC 3 and stuff, like all that stuff doesn't matter, right? But I did read an article that was like, all that stuff's great. You can build your own website. Yes, you can build your own platforms and apps, but you also need to consider security, protecting your own customers' data, whatever data
Yeah.
is going through your platform. So is that one thing that you see that's coming up in your world, is like, yeah, this is great, these tools are great, but they're still not there yet?
It's evolving exponentially every week, 2 weeks or so. It just seems like it's just something new. I have kind of a feeling, I've said this before, it's like, I feel like technology evolves about every 3.5 months, honestly. It's like that's kind of oh, now we're at this level, and it's just going to continue to get faster. And I think, the trick is the second you stop playing around with this stuff and working with it, you're already 10 clicks behind where, you should have been staying with it as much as you can. So it definitely is. It's mentally taxing how fast this is moving.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like, to the exponential comment, this is not to get dystopian, but I think, maybe 2, 3 more years, you're not going to recognize the workforce anymore. I think it's coming, but that's a whole other conversation.
Really? You think like This is going to be a complete transition of white
Yeah, I think
collar.
so. I think you're going to start seeing. I'll give you an example. Um, I was in the process of looking at, year end, looking at bonuses and all of that stuff, and raises and things for the team, and you know, our CPA firm, they're running 90 miles an hour. They got their own clients. I don't know how important we are to them, that whole thing. And I could just, I'd had meetings in the past end of year with my CPA, and they were okay. And this time I went ahead and the AI agent that I'm using knows me really well, knows the company really well, good or bad. And I kind of put all the stuff in there and said, what do you think I should do? And it spit out a plan. And I'm like, okay, that's good, but and then I took it to the accountant. And I was like, what do you think of this? And he was like, God, this is great. Like, and he went back over to his computer and looked at numbers, came back, and he's like, this makes sense, and this makes sense. Point being is, I'm like, why do I need you?
Yeah.
And you're going to start seeing more and more of that across all industries. It's a
Yeah.
little terrifying.
I do think there's a point in that because I will tell you, I've done the same thing with like a designer wanted to charge me hundreds of dollars for a simple template, and I was able to do it with AI. But I know design, I know marketing, I know that this is going to be top of funnel. I don't need to invest that much in it. I know I need to have strong like. So I still think there are the roles where there needs to be human directing because like yeah like I don't really know if AI is going to spit out something that my CPA can do better or not unless I check it with somebody,
That's right.
right? I just don't know. So I
Yeah.
do think, maybe you'll get there. I don't know. I still think there has to be a human behind it, directing it, managing it, and driving it. Otherwise, then we're back in this place where CEOs, like entrepreneurs, are trying to do everything and then manage AI and then trusting it. Because I will say, like, sometimes it spit out stuff. I'm like, oh my God, where the hell did you get that? Like
Right.
that's not anywhere close.
So to your point, the good CPA financial firm accountancy shop right now, they should be doing is what I just did. Like in other words,
Hmm.
my CPA should have run an analysis of AI
Yeah.
against his own, and then had me in there to talk. And
Yeah.
now it's powerful. It's that kind of thing.
Yeah, and that takes a whole hell of a lot less time, right? Let's take like a few minutes and then he's providing value to you. Like you wouldn't have to have done that or thought about that because he's doing it for you.
Right.
Then
That's
he's
right.
telling you here's the next few things you should think about. Like I did some forecasting for you the next 2 or 3 years. Here's where if you adjust your revenue, here's some more opportunities you can provide bonuses. Like, yeah, it's a tool. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think
Absolutely.
there is so much opportunity for it. But how are you like where are your thoughts on actually building apps and platform? Like, because there's Claude Code and there's a ton of different platforms. I just know Claude Code because it gets talked about so much. What do you think about those actually doing the true dev work?
I think there's a place for it. I think at the enterprise level, kind of where we're working, it's not there yet. And I think the ones that rely on that at the moment, kind of like the CPA conversation, I think
Mhm.
they're going to get hung. Like your point, you got to be a developer to know where the bugs are. So you might have them build pieces or components of the bigger application you're working on. But I think at the end of the day, at this point in time, depending on the level of work you're doing, you've got to have professionals at this point.
Yeah, yeah. Especially if you guys are building like huge platforms like the
Yeah,
e-commerce. It's like you don't want to mess around with lottery stuff. That's like money, that's personal information, that's security stuff. And that's not
exactly.
something I don't think you can throw to AI yet. Or maybe even
No, like give it 10 more years, maybe. I don't
Mhm.
know. But it's a good question.
Yeah, it is wild how much has changed.
Yeah, that's there's no question. I think what's really not what typically happens that I think there's a real need for is um, people don't see their digital, I'll call it digital real estate. Um,
Okay, yeah.
your website, your social presence, your signals you put out there, your all the content, all that. It's an ecosystem, and you don't just build it and walk away anymore.
Mm.
And I mean, that's on all kinds of fronts. It needs to be proactive and reactive. It's like from security monitoring all the way to making sure that everything looks and feels the same, polished, but it's also talking together the right way. Because I hate to say it, or maybe it's good for us. I mean, the way people basically now experience most brands is digitally.
Mm-hmm.
They come in half the time, if not more of the time, on this thing,
Yeah.
and um, if you're not, if all the touch points aren't hitting in the right way, whether it's a bad experience, a bad user experience, a bad user interface, it or everything from like it doesn't load fast. Somebody doesn't know what they're doing, and they've put gargantuan sized images on a website that now it dings you on social, and all
Yeah.
this stuff matters. And it's like if you just think, okay, I'm going to just build this and walk away from it, it's going to be okay, and I'm going to also reap the benefits. You have to do so much more work now than you used to. Like metaphorically, I this is going to absolutely show my personality, but I had an old Volkswagen camper in college, and it was a 1971 Volkswagen Westfalia, and
Nice.
it had what's called a pancake engine in the back, is what they called it, and it was so
Okay.
simple, very easy old Volkswagen engine, and my dad and I could tinker with it,
Mhm.
and I wouldn't touch an engine now. I destroy it.
Oh, yeah.
The computers and you pull into a mechanic and they plug it into a computer now. Websites and the digital ecosystem and all that is the same way. You've got to have people that know what they're doing, or you're going to get hung.
Hmm. Yeah. And I do think it goes back to the point you made in the beginning of the conversation of you do need to have a really strong, good digital asset, whether that's your website or a platform or whatever you are getting that call to action, that conversion, whatever it looks like for your business, but having the right channels to drive to it. So we were talking about content marketing and making sure that it's a whole entire digital experience. It's not just, yeah, that what I like to call the sun. If we think about the solar system, your website's like the sun, and then you have all your different marketing channels. Like that's important, but then you got to think about all the different channels you have going to that,
Absolutely.
and it's not just and you have to update it like consistently. It's not, especially we were talking about SEO for years, but now you brought it up earlier. It's also GEO. We got LLM. You got to show up on A in search. Is that something that you guys are working on with your clients on a consistent basis too?
Yeah. Yeah. We've got some deadly teammates that know how to do this really, really well.
Oh, it's
Um,
deadly. I love it.
and it's fun because right now it kind of reminds me of the old days of search back in the early aughts. It's like because not a lot of people are doing it,
Mhm.
you can have a bigger voice right now, but it will get crowded fast when
Yeah.
people start to figure out how to actually do this.
Yeah, that is true. It was like that in the early days of search. And like you mentioned, social media. Like if you, the businesses that hop on this sooner and understand it, practice it, like you said, just be curious on how to
Mhm.
use it and work with great partners, man, you could reap many rewards from it.
1,000%. It's so well said. Yeah, I could not have said it better.
And okay, we talked about so many great things, and I don't want to keep you forever, but I could because we're having a great conversation. But I wanted to jump to what I call the quick fire round, or
Okay.
ask you questions, and you don't have to be yes or no. They can be short answers, they can be long answers, but just with more fun, fun questions. You ready?
I think so. I haven't
Okay.
rehearsed this, so we'll see.
Okay. All right, sweet or savory?
Savory.
Savory. Really?
I'm
Oh,
not,
I remember we had a meeting and you were talking about getting bagels. So if you had to choose between cookies and bagels, you choose bagels?
yeah, I'm not a sweet person.
No, not at all. Okay, nice. So what's your favorite like go-to snack?
This is going to sound really bizarre. I don't even know the brand name, but there are these things you can get in the Indian section of the grocery store, and they're like tandoori peas.
Tandoori.
I know. I love weird food. Like it's like this, and they've got like lemon, pepper, garlic, and all these different like.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's like it's just bizarre, but it's just I love
Okay.
Indian food. And it's manifesting in a snack, and it's like yeah, okay.
That's That's awesome. I've not seen those. Now I'm gonna look for them and try them because of
Yeah,
that.
they're good. It's kind of,
Tandoori peas.
yeah.
Okay, and what song could you listen to on repeat?
Oh, that's easy. Ja Live by Bob Marley.
Oh,
It's a beautiful song.
I just want to vibe out.
Hmm.
Good old Bob Marley. I had it back when I was a wedding photographer. I had a wedding where they played like almost all Bob Marley songs at the wedding reception. They were like huge fans. It was awesome.
Yeah, that is awesome.
What is your favorite way to unwind after work?
I two ways. I either video games. I hate to admit that, but
Mm,
I'm a Gen Xer that grew up with Atari, and it never stopped leaving the bloodstream. So, love video games. It's good for my mind. And when it's warmer like it is now, I'm obsessed with just zenning out in the yard. But just like like taking a pair of hand clippers with me, and just I love just working in the yard, like just pruning here and manicuring this, and just I just like things to kind of look like it's been design touched. And I
nice.
love like a really formal garden or something like that. And so I'm always kind of experimenting and um, yeah, like I'll stop there. Yeah, it's a passion.
So what video games are you playing right now?
I play the old ones because they were the best. Like I say old ones, but like the ones that were coming out, maybe about a decade ago. But like I love Far Cry,
Okay.
that whole series. I always sound like I'm really violent, but I'm not. But I love the first person shooter open world stuff. So I mean, I would never pick up a gun. I don't even own one, but like I love just like some of the stuff you can like machine gun in some of these games is amazing. It's therapeutic.
I get it. I played Donkey Kong, and he's like, I mean, you just beat up everything. Like,
Yeah,
it's,
it's cathartic.
it is. And then when you're doing your lawn garden time, is it flowers or you like do vegetables?
So you asked me, and you're gonna think I'm weird as heck on this, but again, I'm kind of a data nerd. I started tracking climate data about 5 years ago for just our yard,
What?
and and if I've told you this, stop me seriously.
You haven't.
And I started to realize back in the day, because of where we are in the city, and it kind of is a little bit of a heat dome here compared to like
Okay.
even just 10 miles out. And so I started to realize we're in what's called Zone 7B, as in boy. And that all of a sudden opened up a whole new world to me of plants that normally won't grow in Roanoke. So I literally have in my yard several species of palm trees.
What? Do you
Yeah,
really?
seriously. Yeah.
That's
Um,
awesome.
as I'm talking here, I was going to pull one up. And my team and my family make fun of me, but I started importing Spanish moss and throwing it into the trees.
What?
And
That's so cool.
it pretty much lives year after year because of just the climate part of it.
Okay.
Yeah, again, you got a weird dude here, like Indian tea, Spanish moss, and um, yeah,
So exotic plants, you're into like, well, not like palm trees are exotic, but they're more tropical.
yeah. Like here, here's a good example. I don't know if this will show. This is one of them during a snow. Let's see if it'll. I don't know if the camera will do
Oh,
it.
that's cool.
Yeah, it's not. It's like blurring out. Hang on. See,
Oh, yes. Oh, what a fabulous patio.
crazy. Anyway, that's me.
That's awesome.
Hmm.
So you're creating your own little just like world outside of your backyard. That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah, yeah. It's my happy place.
Okay, and I want to know, what did little Greg want to be when he grew up? Did he want to be a gardener?
No, that's an easy answer. So my very first word out of my mouth, which destroyed my mother, was plane.
Oh.
I wanted to be an airline pilot, and I actually applied to Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University in high school. I wanted to be a commercial pilot, and
Wow.
I failed because I'm blind as a bat, and so I they said, but you can do like engineering, and I was like, so I ended up not becoming a pilot, but I wanted to be a pilot.
Really? Oh my gosh.
Hmm.
Wow. And that was something like but you don't have I guess you can't get your pilot's license like just as a personal because of
You
the,
can get, yeah, like single engine and stuff and all
okay.
that, but not commercial grade level.
Okay. Because,
It's funny now that LASIK's come out, that changes it, but
right? I've always wondered that. I've always wondered, like, yeah, but now, because I know, like, it's different if you're colorblind but if you get LASIK, then that changes the game.
Hmm. Absolutely. Not
That's awesome.
fascinated with airplanes and aircraft and the industry. I am literally the nerd that if a funky helicopter flies over, I don't care if I'm in a meeting, I will literally get up and go look at them and go, oh my God, look at that's an osprey or whatever. And it's just like, I need therapy, but yeah.
So when you go on vacation, if there's like some really cool like helicopter, like you're on it. If it's like where you can tour the hell or whatever.
Yeah, I am absolutely all about it. Anything like that. And friends of mine that go to air shows that know me, they'll send me like, footage of like World War II planes in the sky that they filmed while they were there and all
Oh
about it.
wow. Oh, that's cool. I bet that's cool, man.
Hmm.
From pilot to CEO of a website agency, digital marketing agency. Greg, thank you so much for joining me today. And we had a great conversation. I mean, we covered a lot, all the way from AI to growing and managing a team to tropical plants. And now I know about tandoori peas. Like, I am prepared for the weekend.
Good. Well, you got to go seek them out and try them. Let me know what you think.
Yes, I'm gonna have to. Well, thank you so much, and I will add the link to Firefly's website in the description of this video and your LinkedIn so people can connect with you. And I just appreciate you joining me today and having this conversation.
Absolutely pleasure to be here, Tara. Thank you so much for even having me here.
Thanks, and catch us next time on What